one of John Lennon's Quarrymen between 56 and 57, and here I am sitting in Folkies music shop in Kilburn High Road. I've just been having a go of all the nice guitars and banjos and boring the staff.
Freight train, going so fast. Freight train, going so fast. I don't know what train he's on. Won't you tell me where he's
Well, I started off playing the banjo with John Lennon's Quarrymen in 1956, and in those days we had no amplification, nobody played solos, nobody could play solos, and even if you could there was no point because you didn't have an amplifier, so nobody could hear you. And in our skiffle group we had two guitars, a banjo, a washboard, a T-chest bass and a drum kit. So John used to say, well, Colin, play with your brushes, don't play with the sticks, you're drowning us all out. So to get some volume we used to thrash everything as loud as possible. And quite often John would bust a string in mid-song. And because he played banjo chords on the guitar, i.e. open tuning, which in those days was just rubbish, it wasn't cool, he would turn round to me, take his guitar off, I'd take his guitar, I'd give him my banjo, and he'd finish the song on the banjo. I would put another string on the guitar and have it ready for him when we started the next song. And maybe if I was having trouble he'd add a couple of extra choruses to give me a bit of a chance to get the string on. So I was telling this story to somebody and they said, oh, you were his first guitar tech then, were you? I said, well, that's inflating my role just a wee bit, but there we go, and that's what we used to do.
He lost his reason, he lost his life, he killed his friend in mortal strife. He must keep moving neath them golden skies, just to wait until he dies.
When we got the Quarrymen back together in 1997, it was as a result of the Cavern's 40th birthday party, and people said to us, now you can tell us what really happened the moment John and Paul first met. So they said to me, well, you know, how do you remember it, Rod? So I said, well, I don't even remember seeing the guy. I probably went home for my tea, because it appears that the introduction was done between our afternoon session and the evening session. So I would have normally gone home to eat, and in Liverpool we say gone home for me tea. Anyway, this didn't get much of a laugh. So we were on a question and answer session at a Beatles convention in America. So when somebody asked me the same question, I said, oh, I think probably at the most significant moment in rock and roll history I went for a pee, and that got a cheap laugh, you see. And so I've been saying that ever since. And there's this American guy who's done this beautiful oil painting of the moment John met Paul, and he said, you can see all the other guys are there in the background, he said, but you're not there. He said, your banjo's leaning on the chair, but I didn't put you in because I've heard you say you were in the bathroom at the time. So you have to be very careful when you pull anybody's leg, especially American.
Freight train, going so fast. Freight train, going so fast. I don't know what train he's on. Won't you tell me where he's gone?
Well, this year the Quarrymen are not exactly rushed off their feet, but in February 14th, we're playing at a Beatles weekend in a place called Eskilstuna, which is about an hour's drive from Stockholm, and that's a Beatles weekend in an old converted Art Deco cinema, which should be interesting. And then sometime in May we're playing in Bilbao for the Spanish equivalent of Médecins Sans Frontières. There's a bunch of guys we know out there who have a band called Extreme Urgency, or Extrema Urgencia, and we're playing for them. We're playing in Liverpool as part of Beatle Week on a concert with people like Neil Innes and a couple of other guys whose name I've forgotten. Then in October I'm doing a 2-week tour of Canada where I'm doing this sort of thing, sitting in a chair and talking to people about how it was in the old days, and getting them to play the washboard and teach us bass, and showing some pictures of Liverpool and stuff like that. Basically it just keeps a bunch of old men off the streets, which is probably a worthwhile objective.